One of the things that saddens me most is when the mechanisms in society that have been put in place to protect us and keep us safe let us down. Sadly, we all know that this is true far too often. Such is the case in tonight's story. Everyone, please, stay safe and be happy. Now, settle down, relax with your favorite drink, because it's time for you to join me and listen. Monday, 11th of July, 2016. Dear Diary, I'm so glad I went to the dentist today. I've been delaying going for so long, and it turned out to be a great day, even though I was petrified. I always make a habit of being really early. It's a pet peeve of mine. An annoying one, but still. Moving on. I got a new diary today. I know people laugh at a man with a diary, but it keeps me occupied and it keeps my mind from thinking about how pathetic my life is. But moving on to the good news that happened today. I went to the dentist's and I met the most beautiful woman. It was amazing. The second I looked at her, I knew she was a fantastic person. She lit up every room she went in. We were waiting for around 15 minutes together. I originally was there for 20 minutes, but then she came in 5 minutes later and, oh my, she was amazing. The best part was there were so many other available seats. And she sat next to me, of all people. Because, in her words, I looked nice and friendly. I was so happy. The happiest I've been in a long time, in fact. She told me her name, which was Rosemary, but she told me to call her Rose. Oh, she's great like that. I told her my name was Darren, and she told me it was a great name. I found it amazing. No one has ever been this nice to me. We ended up talking about movies, politics, cute little animal videos on YouTube, and even sports. It was perfect. She was perfect. Unfortunately, she was eventually called into the dentist room by that prick of a dentist. If you don't realize, I also have some severe anger issues. I wish I didn't have them, but life goes on. I just thought I'd say my teeth are fine. Just need to floss more. But apart from that, everything's fine. But anyway, I digress. When Rose was about to head in, I knew I couldn't see her disappear out of my life just like that. I had to do something, so I quickly asked her for a number and asked if we could meet up again. She gave me her number. She told me to call her on Friday to go out to dinner. My heart was racing. I couldn't believe it. I was astounded. Can't wait for Friday. Friday, 15th of July, 2016. Dear Diary, today was amazing. I called Rose at 4 p.m. A bit desperate maybe, but I couldn't care less. Unfortunately, she rejected me. Apparently some prick of a boss was giving her a hard time at work, and she was just so annoyed by him, she didn't want to go out. If I knew where that prick lives, I'd go to his house, knock his door, and stab him repeatedly till he bleeds to death. A man should never treat a woman as beautiful and intelligent as her like that. But by the sounds of it, she'd had a rough day, and that's why she wasn't in the mood. I said okay, but I didn't want her to have a bad evening just because of that prick. That's why I decided to call her about, I don't know, another 33 times. She at last agreed to go out with me to a restaurant. I insisted on picking her up from her home address. She declined. I kept insisting, and she just told me flat out no. That hurt me a bit. So, we decided on just meeting outside a fancy restaurant called Barracuda Bar and Restaurant. That was fine by me, although I was a little disappointed I didn't get to go to her house and go inside her bedroom and force her down. No. I didn't mean that. I did not mean that. Although she is beautiful, and I can tell we hit it off. I love her. So, we met outside of it. Turns out we parked in the same car park, so that's convenient. She seemed excited to see me, and vice versa. The dinner was nice, and she told me I was funny. And that was great. When I saw her, she was as beautiful as I remembered. Stunning. As the dinner went on, though, she seemed to look worried by me. I don't know why. I suppose I was a bit forward. I kept telling her how beautiful she was every 5 minutes or so. But I'm not needy or creepy. I don't know where she got that idea from. That angered me a bit. We finished dinner, and I told her I'd pay, and she said her boss was making her work on Saturday, so she had to get up early. I'd love to kill him. She thanked me for paying, and she told me to call her again sometime. I couldn't wait to call her, so I waited till she drove out the parking lot, and I followed her home. I wrote down the address. It's here somewhere. Ah, here it is. 49 Harrington Way. I also found out she works at Wellington Soliciting Firm. Plus, her boss is going to be there tomorrow, so I may be able to have a little chat with him after work about making Rose work on weekends. Anyways, better get some sleep. I've got a big day tomorrow. Saturday, 16th of July, 2016. Dear Diary, so I ended up talking to Rose's boss. He seemed to be quite understanding. Although, it's amazing how quickly he cooperated when I began stabbing him in the chest. You should have seen his fat face as I dug my knife into him. It was hilarious. Rose and all the other employees that prick made work on a Saturday left an hour before him, so no one would be the wiser. I hid the fat fuck in his trunk. After that bit of joy, I went to call Rose, only to find that she'd blocked my number. That really pissed me off. So, I decided to shrug it off and went to her house and put a note in her mailbox. I'll tell you the main highlights of the note. I first went on to explain the death of her boss, and how we could laugh about it over coffee on Sunday, if she wasn't doing anything. Then, I go on for a bit about, well, I don't really know. It goes on for a bit, and I lastly go on to tell her to meet me under the bridge at Milford Street at 10 p.m. I arrived at 9:30 p.m. My pet peeve again. I stood there for about an hour until I left. I decided to go to the house. I arrived only to see a police car outside of it. This angered me a bit, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. I don't know what she's playing at, though. I'm not going to give up yet, though. It must have been her boss that was causing her this stress. Now she'll be happier than ever before, especially with me in her life. Well, never mind all that. She's not at that stage of acceptance yet. Well, anyway, I couldn't hear her that well inside the house. So I waited in the bushes on the side of her house until I heard the front door open after 5 minutes of waiting. I tried to eavesdrop on their conversation. I heard her mention my letter to the 2 police officers. They said they could go and check under the Milford Street Bridge, but that was it. As for her prick of a boss, the police said they looked around the area and couldn't see any traces, apart from his car still in the parking lot. Never thought of lurking in the trunk. Police are such a bunch of morons these days. I was just about to leave, but I suddenly noticed in her backyard there was a pile of clothes and underwear, just laying there, presumably hers. I thought to myself, it would be rude if I left without getting, I don't know, a memento. I don't think she'll be too bothered that I took a few items. Sunday, 17th of July, 2016. Dear Diary, I went to Kenny and Carl's hardware store on Castle Road, so I could pick up some essentials, just so our love could speed up to the point of us both accepting the relationship we're bound to have. I can't wait, Rose. I bought a hammer, a load of nails, boards of wood, some wire cutters, and I also had to get one of my knives sharpened so I can help the process along. The guy at the till just looked at me perplexed for making these purchases. I don't know why, I just want to show how much I love Rose. What's wrong with that? I stopped by at 5 p.m. to see if anything was happening over there. You know, just to check. I mean, it's not like I could afford for anyone to try and stop our love any more than those bastard police officers already have. Well, moving on, before I get even angrier. But never mind. I peeked into the house through the window, and I was able to view 2 people in their, I don't know, early 70s, who I later found out were her parents, going into her house. The window I used yesterday was still open, and I couldn't believe what they were saying. I overheard her thanking them for letting us stay in their house, so she doesn't keep getting harassed by this pervy creep, David, as she calls me in her words. I don't understand, Rose. Have I done something? What did I do? What did I do? So, I had to do the only thing I could think of doing. I waited until they left and went to follow her parents' car. I had to travel for an hour and found out their address was 22 Broughton Lane. I almost had a bit of a scare when I was about to run out of petrol, but it was fine. I made it there just in time. Monday, 18th of July, 2016. Dear Diary, I broke into Rose's parents' house last night. When Rose awoke, it was morning, and she was surprised to be at the top of the basement stairs. It wasn't all that bad, though. The light was on. I left a note on the step next to her, which Rose saw when she woke up. I looked up at her, and as she read on, she seemed terrified. This saddened me, as I just wanted her pretty little face to be happy. But I accepted it would take time for her to love me. I suppose I shouldn't have been so direct with her. I'll write down to you what it said on the letter. Dear Rosemary, I watched you sleep last night through the window. You're as beautiful as I remembered. You're such a lovely flower, Rose. I know it's corny, but oh well. I was slightly angered by you calling the police earlier, but this must be true love if I still want you. I tried your phone number, but it was blocked. You must have changed phones, I guess. But, yeah, this must be true love. You look amazing, especially when you're asleep. I know you've been reluctant in the past about us getting together, but I just couldn't look at you anymore, so I broke in and felt your skin. I knew it was meant to be. It was so soft. Oh, and the reason I boarded up the basement door was so we could be together. So don't be alarmed. It was just in case you decided to have another change of heart, because eventually you'll realize it'll be for the best if we become partners. We're meant to be together. I know this is a lot to take in, but trust me, our love is real. By the way, don't worry about anyone interfering with us. I already had that earlier this morning. People just keep trying to get between us. At about 7 in the morning, there was a knock at the door, and I heard your parents get up, with your mum coming in. She screamed so loudly, I had to silence her right then and there. A second later, your dad came in. He was more of a challenge. He nearly killed me, but I just managed to stab him before he could get a chance to finish me off. Luckily, I knocked him to the floor, so I stabbed him even more, and there is now a massive hole where his heart was. I can't believe how many people tried to get between us. Funny story. That person at the door was a police officer. It turns out he wasn't sent out here. He just wanted to check how you were getting on. So no one knows he was here. He ran into the house with a gun. Fortunately, I was hidden under the bed. After I heard him yelling into the house, saying he was going to shoot whoever was in there. I was amazed at how you didn't even bat an eyelid. You really are a deep sleeper. He looked into your room, and since I was under the bed, he thought I'd run into another room. He turned his back to see if I'd moved from my current location. That's when I jumped from under the bed and skinned the fat bastard alive. After that, I locked the front door, closed every curtain and every window, so no one would be able to look in or come into the house. I had to chop them up into little pieces and hide them under a sheet. Your parents were quite easy as they were old, slim and had weaker bones, so it was quite easy to cut them up, unlike that fat-ass policeman. It took hours to slice him up. An absolute fat prick. Every time I cut into him with my knife, the blood just squelched and sprayed all over me. I got the job done eventually, but as for the intestines, they wouldn't stay under the sheet. So annoyingly, I had to nail them to the ceiling, just for precautionary reasons, in case of anyone finding out and trying to stop our love for each other. I love you, Rose, and I believe I've shown it by doing all of this just for you. As I said, I know this is a lot for you to take in, and I know you're going to be sad about losing your parents. So, I'll let you stay at the top of these steps as long as you want, if that's what it takes for you to get over your parents' deaths. Also, there's no way to escape through that door with all the wooden planks in the way, especially when I've taken all the tools and left them upstairs. We can finally be together, Rose. Just you and me. Just like we always wanted. I'm going to tell you that I will be cutting off the power to the house. Also, I'll tell you that I left all ways of communication upstairs, such as your phone and such. But the quicker you embrace our relationship, the quicker it'll all be over. I'll be at the bottom of the steps when you're ready, my beautiful Rose. Thanks for taking the time to drop by and watch this video. You know what would make me a happy doctor? Hitting that like button, leaving a comment, and subscribing to my channel. Go on, I've got plenty more stories to tell you.